I love that round of applause, and there's nothing, haven't even started yet.
That's the beauty of coming on. People love clapping. As the name of the video podcast, streaming live on Facebook and LinkedIn, as well as on YouTube and Stitcher and Apple Podcasts. So welcome to another episode. I'm welcoming my guest, Dr. Scott Dell, who's going to share a little bit of insight into our community, but a little bit of background. I am the co-founder of Video Socials, which is a combination of a professional community of lawyers and accountants, coaches and consultants, as well as our video posting automation app. And as we're growing Video Socials across the country and now across the globe, I am looking forward to learning from leaders like Dr. Scott in terms of how he's growing his community, so that not only is he featured, highlighted, and you get to know how you can join his community, but I also get to steal some of his ideas and see how I can make Video Socials even better, but hopefully even collaborate with Dr. Scott's community. So Scott, welcome.
Glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
So I always like to jump in first with asking a little bit of a background story on who you are, and especially before we even get into the nuts and bolts of your current community, how did you come to it? And especially if you could begin, as you were growing up, either as a younger professional or even as a kid, was there a community, doesn't need to be a business community, but was there any kind of community that helped you along the way, or alerted or inspired you to kind of see the power of what you could be building right now? How did that come to be?
I tend to be out on the front, on the bleeding edge. Don't they say the pioneers have the arrows in their back?
Fair.
Started a variety of clubs, organizations, and took initiatives from as being an entrepreneur in high school, even middle school, or at that time it was junior high in that day and age. But trying to get involved in different communities. I grew up in the Boston area. Mm-hmm. And was able to participate in programs at MIT and downtown and in where I grew up in the South Shore. So getting together, getting with other people, community was key to growth, success, and learning.
Yeah. And so was there a particular community that made an impact on you? Like, is there a group or organization that made an impact?
Well, it started with family,
mm-hmm.
but then it got into things like JCs and other groups.
Yeah.
And in college, I actually joined the Navy, which is one of the biggest fraternities and now fraternities and sororities out there. I was part of the first class of females being admitted to the Naval Academy. And so that was an exciting time. For us, it was natural. For the upperclassmen, they had a little harder time on that.
Yeah.
But it was just, it's nice to be part of a community, of a group. My latest endeavor, I was in a cohort of 17 folks getting my doctorate just over a year ago. So that's, again, we worked together and we all made it through, and 90% picked up have completed their dissertation. There's still 2 that are ABD, but out of 17, that's a pretty good track record.
That's pretty good. So now bring us fast forward into what are you building now, and how did this come to be?
Well, COVID's been an opportunity. I actually wrote my first book, which I actually happened to, keep it close by.
Keep it close by.
LinkedIn. I'm a LinkedIn geek, and enjoy that networking side of LinkedIn. And I run a number of groups in LinkedIn, and I say LinkedIn is my drug of choice. The other opportunities related to helping folks in the career space.
Okay.
And what evolved out of that, actually, one of the partners in that group, we co-founded an entity called Influity.net. We actually just rebranded a week and a half ago.
I remember you telling me that you were in the midst of doing that. So now it is.
It is. It's live. It kicked off March 1st as Vexter, Virtual Expert Directory. But we decided that we want to be a little more identifying with the influencers, the trendsetters, the clubhouses of the world. And we want to go beyond. We say LinkedIn plus Google equals Influity.net. And Influity.net, INFLUITY.net, N-E-T, is the place where entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, all kind of folks to go and share resources and become part of the community. And it's the influencers community is the tagline. So you're right about community. That's powerful. We learn a lot. I've been to conferences. I've joined masterminds out of those conferences and just bouncing ideas off of other people. You always get more ideas with more diverse populations that give you insights than coming out of your own head, usually. That's not to say you can't start your own plan and come up with your own ideas, but it's always nice to bounce them out, and then you evaluate what you do with those.
So what's the structure like? So talk to us. What does it mean to be part of the Influity community? What does that mean?
Well, the community itself, as we said, is a combination of LinkedIn and Google and with a splash of Facebook.
All right.
It's a professional environment where you can post all kinds of information. If you're female owned or minority owned or veteran owned, we've got fields for that. If you're vegetarian, I know not, and you say, oh, I'm veggie. I know not to take you to Morton Steakhouse for dinner
Sure.
when we get together. Or I don't do pork and shellfish. So a pig roast is not going to be my ideal place for dinner. I'll go for social reasons, but I still need someplace else to eat. So you get the idea of what you can do in an environment. If you're interested in being a podcast guest, like now, set a flag for yes. If you're interested in being a keynote speaker, or you want to do joint venturing, we've got spaces for that. We also have a calendar if you have any kind of webinars, seminars, challenges that you want to post, or even classes that you're scheduled. It's a place to put those resources and make them available. There's a rating system. There's all kinds of tools built in that can really make a complete profile of who you are and what you are. And we err on the side of more rather than less.
What do you mean?
Some of the other platforms, you kind of put all your jobs and you put all your history and you put about section with everything and combined. And yeah, we have our own equivalent of about, but we have other fields that ask you things about you and interests you have. One of the things we just got into a beta a week and a half ago. Do we throw on there, you know what? I've been vaccinated. Is that yes, no, or don't even answer the question? And one of us, two partners, one said, you know what? That's a political football, Scott. We really shouldn't touch that. 10-foot pole, keep it away. We're not going to go in that direction. I said, yeah, but if they want to be a keynote speaker, don't you think their audience might be interested in knowing if they were vaccinated? And they might feel a little more comfortable going. And albeit, if you don't want to answer the question, don't answer the question. If you're more comfortable that way, that's your choice. And so we put it on there. That's something that we are making available for informational purposes if you choose to.
So what void did you see out there? There's a whole lot of different types of community platforms. So what did you see that you knew you needed to fill in? Like what inspired this in the first place? Why are you doing this?
Well, this actually came out of another entrepreneurial idea. I'm a Zoom fan as well.
Okay.
We're all doing Zoom 8 to 10 meetings a day, and it's kind of gotten crazy. And actually, I'm co-authoring a book that's coming out in about 2 weeks on Zoom called Zoomopedia. And the opportunity we decided was, well, why don't we get some classes? We all know some gurus. They're doing some trainings. Let's get some badges. Let's get some certifications. So if people are looking for a Zoom professional, an executive producer, or just a Zoom facilitator, and they make $300 to $500 an hour, why don't we have a platform that can not only train, but advertise, communicate, and let people know what's out there? We decided as we were building our website that, well, we need this area for badging and for putting information out there for people to find you. And we said, well, we can reinvent the wheel, or maybe we can go after a third party, because there's no other platform that we really know is focused on the virtual experts. There's a whole bunch of things out there. You own a restaurant? Hey, you've got Yelp and Google. Terrific. If you are a contractor, an electrician, a plumber, Angie's List. Cool. Great place. I guess they rebranded as Angie's. So everybody's rebranding these days. But that's fine. But what about virtual experts? What if I need a health and wellness coach or an executive or leadership coach? Or maybe I'm a website developer or I'm a sales funnel guru, and I'm not. But those are the kind of things that there are professionals out there. And where was there a platform or a place for them to park, to enhance, to communicate, and to become part of a community? So we built that community under the Influity.net banner.
So it is focused on the virtual type professional.
Virtual service provider, exactly right.
The virtual service provider. So who is it not for? You mentioned some folks, like it's not really for that HVAC contractor or hospitality type business.
I would say any brick and mortar business is not really where we're at.
So now a lot of professionals operate in both worlds, right? Let's say an attorney, a typical member of Video Socials, he or she has an office. They may or may not go to that office anymore, but they have at least a home office. And they may dabble in the space of internet because they get referrals that way. They may or may not be a course creator per se, but where would they fit into Influity?
They would be a good fit if and only if they can provide their services virtually. This is a
Okay,
global
so if
community.
they have figured out a way of servicing clients, obviously through Zoom or through some other
Exactly.
virtual mechanism, digital
That's
mechanism,
That's not to say they can't have the brick and mortar side of the house and they
right?
actually meet with clients face to
Sure,
face and they trial lawyers. We have a number of attorneys actually on there right now. And it's a great place for solopreneurs and entrepreneurs to compare notes and to network and to basically bring resources to each other. As in, in networking, give before you get. And
sure.
it's a very giving community. And that's
But
a
it's
direction.
focused on that virtual aspect or digital online aspect.
Exactly right.
So that kind of fits into your world of what people can do on LinkedIn, what people can do with Zoom, etc.
You bet.
How do members of the community interact or communicate back and forth? Is there a mechanism for that?
There are a number of mechanisms that are current and in process.
Okay.
We'll start with the predictors. In process, we're going to be having a podcast, and part of that podcast will be guests from our own community
Cool.
sharing. We just interviewed the founder of Sylvan Learning Centers,
Okay.
and he had some great insights onto the kind of things that it takes to succeed because he's had 3 franchise businesses in addition, or 2 more in addition to his Sylvan, and he's done
Yeah.
some pretty cool things, some pretty amazing things.
And they figured out how to be virtual, I'm assuming, in this past year.
Oh yeah, you got to be virtual, and I mean you and I are virtual, and COVID's actually it's been a challenge for most, but it's also been an opportunity for many. And I find like I wouldn't have written my book, and frankly,
Sure.
we probably wouldn't be talking right now if it were not for
Yeah,
COVID.
sure. Exactly. So I get that. So what other ways do members interact?
The on the platform themselves. So we have the podcast. We're going to
Yeah.
have a networking session followed up as well, where podcast followed by networking, and then we're going to be doing LinkedIn posting parties and some other
Cool.
events to kind of network and to foster the engagement. You can direct message other folks on the platform. There's a 5-star, 4-star, 3-star, 2-star rating system. So customers and clients can rate you, fellow professionals can rate you. And again, when you're posting activities, you can post your ebooks, you can post your videos, you can do couponing, and you can add other things about you, who you are, where you're at. I'm looking for employees. I'm looking to hire. Or I'm looking for a VA, a virtual assistant. Or I am a virtual assistant and I want to be with somebody else working for somebody. And a lot of people would be prospecting through there because you can do search. We've got a whole bunch of categories, about 16 categories. And
Yeah.
under those categories, there are subcategories ranging from 8 to 15 each. So you might be an Instagram guru, a LinkedIn guru. You might be a TikTok person. That's your realm. And if
Sure.
you're looking for those kind of folks, you can find them, search them out, and access them.
I often find that a bonding glue in communities are things that are shared and shared experiences, shared jargon, things that they repeat as kind of inside jokes, inner circle, that kind of aspect, and be it a profession or be it a geographical community or an online virtual community. Have you seen that come about at all, or are you contriving that in architecting, maybe a better word? Are you looking at that in terms of that shared common language or common ritual or common activity among members? Have you gotten to that point yet? Do you see anything bubbling?
Like I say, the things that we're planning are bubbling up, but
Yeah,
we are seeing more interaction. We're seeing folks that are coming on board that are looking for more of that contact. And I mean, you can be in other platforms with the millions and the billions, and it's a challenge. How do you rise to that level? Now that the whole clubhouse world, I wish we started with $100 million to get going, but we haven't that level yet. But that's a place where, yes, you can interact. And we're seeing other folks interacting in different environments. And we're trying to bring that on to our Influity.net platform to make
and
it a
so
true place to network.
so what's some of the timelines? Some of the things that so the podcast is already launched. What about some of these other gatherings that you're having in terms of the networking and the LinkedIn post exchange? What's the timeline? What do you think right
And
now? It's like we're heading into May 2021, right? So what's the timeline?
by the end of the May, we'll be having
Okay.
our Nut podcast simultaneous. Right afterwards, will be the networking groups.
Okay,
And they'll
cool.
be weekly.
It becomes
And
like a
there'll be
live
other.
audience and then an interactive audience. Is that the concept?
That's exactly right.
Okay, great.
And then the posting parties to go with that.
And then
then
how
the
often
other
are you having it? Like
It's Thursday afternoons weekly.
Okay, cool.
It's on the calendar for 5 o'clock on Thursdays.
All right, 5 p.m.
Eastern time.
Yeah.
And if need be, as a global, we'll go whenever we can do 5 a.m. as well.
Yeah, fair enough.
Whatever the market needs and deems, and our members need and deem. And we try to be real responsive. I mean, we had about a week ago, one of our folks said, I'm trying to get in this category. It was like 11 o'clock at night. Well, by 6 a.m., we had a new category added for them and anybody else that might be in that realm, and to help them go and help them grow.
So what's outreach like? How are people hearing about it, and how are members inviting others? What's the process like?
Well, there's three options on the site itself. There is a free membership level, which is pretty powerful, but there are paid levels.
Okay.
And we are offering an affiliate, and it's a 50% affiliate level joining, where if someone's paying $10 a month, I say, Vic, he's got this networking tool, he's got this podcast, he's got this video social thing going, and great person, you sign up for $10 a month. I get 5, the house gets 5. Then you say, well, hey, I'm pretty well connected. I got a bunch of people. I've got my podcast group of folks that would really shine on here. And then I've got my business coach, and I've got a mastermind coach, and I also have a Zoom producer, and they sign up for $10 a month. Well, you get 5, the house gets 5, and I get nothing. And that, which is, well, actually, I'm part of the house, so I guess I get something technically, but it's only single level affiliate. So it's not a binary, it's not a multi-level. It's the kind of area that it can snowball through other people saying, hey, you know what? I don't mind a lifetime income for sharing something that's been valuable. And then when they sign up, it kind of flows. And then your peeps are the kind of folks that say, wait a minute, I know Vic, and he's a great guy, and he's interacting, and we see on these platforms. I was talking to somebody this morning. She is out of Czechoslovakia, and she has a new platform that's designed for quick networking, one-on-one networking. And we're looking to introduce that as a possibility for our network and say, hey, well, let's experiment. You want a beta test? Come on, let's critique it. Let's let the community at it and help out in the growth. And maybe they'll find some clients and customers that say, you know what, this is cool. We're going to need something like that, and we can use that. Very
cool. So it's really member-to-member outreach right now.
That is correct.
And you're still in the.
I mean, obviously, we're networking mode. We're, how many happiness network projects can you go to in a day, right?
And then you, of course, mushroom into your own community as you're doing. That's really neat. So how do you see, you talked about May, how do you see the rest of the year going in terms of the growth of the community and other benefits and interactions?
I do obviously see an acceleration. And frankly, our goal, I'll share our goal, $2,500 by year end. In the first 4 weeks, we had 100 enroll. And that was it was kind of a beta. That was an initial rollout. Yeah. We actually we're meeting obviously every day. And we had a critique of one of our members yesterday evening, 5 o'clock. And we had that discussion of, okay, the good, the bad, the ugly. That's how our name changed. That's why we changed from Vexter. Virtual expert directories are one thing. They're a little staid. They're not as active as you might think. Although we were trying to get Vexter to be a verb, so we can go Vextering instead of Googling. But I think the Influity gives a better feel, a better image, and a better understanding of what our mission and goal is. Because we're looking for the influencers, the trendsetters, and those serving the influencers and trendsetters with the online businesses. And
so in that sense, are you going to ever meet in person, or is it going to be exclusively virtual, since that's the kind of the mission of it?
The vision right now is virtual, although even if we do have in-person meetings, there'll be a virtual component.
Okay.
So
that's the way you're making.
I mean, frankly, I'm as an example, I've been an academic for 15 years now. I told you I got my doctorate just over a year ago out of Wisconsin. And with that opportunity, as I've been teaching, I'm doing hybrid classes. What happens is half the class comes on one day, half the other, but we're all on Zoom, whether we're in the classroom or out.
And so you imagine always a virtual aspect to it.
Always a virtual component.
Staying true to the virtual expert directory origins of Influity.
Yeah, we're not going to go exclusive face-to-face. That's not to say I might wander into a town and be in Atlanta and say, hey, come to town, let's get together. But we will always have the intent is to have a virtual element, because that's frankly, we've been so much more productive. Some of us even, you work at 8 or 10 o'clock at night that you weren't doing it before, but you are now because you're online, and You can kind of set the boundaries some days, but
or across the boundaries on other days.
Or exactly.
This is good. This is helpful. It gives me kind of a deeper understanding of what you're building and where you're going and growing, and it gives me insight. And hopefully, the listeners and viewers are able to get that insight too. As we wrap up, I'd love to hear about a business community. Are you a raving fan of any other business leader who runs a group? Even if you're not a member, is there any other business leader or business group that you see as a role model or a raving fan of?
I'm a fan of a couple of groups.
Yeah.
And whether it's Robbie Samuels he's got his happy hour on Fridays, Zoom happy hour, which is No More Bad Zoom. Cool group.
I think I just actually met him yesterday. Actually, I was on a podcast exchange Zoom, and yeah, I saw his No More Bad Zoom, Robbie Samuels, but I don't know him personally, but I'll be reaching out to him.
Yeah, I'm a native Bostonian myself, and he's out of Boston. He's been doing it for over a year and doing some things right. Very capable and growing and succeeding, and it's wonderful to see success. You look at the Happiness Neighbor Project.
Sure. Yeah,
that has taken on a life of its own, and I participate in a variety of events, not just the networking meetings, but they're forming a veterans group and they're getting other verticals, and that's really interesting to see, because we also have, if you're female-owned, minority-owned, veteran-owned, LGBT-owned, those are fields on influity.net. And then you can get in the environment and meet the folks you want to meet. And I've talked to folks in all of those communities that said, we haven't been able to find something that we can meet folks that we want to talk about.
Right.
Talk with. Same thing with disabilities or differently enabled kind of folks. So those are
the Happiness Neighborhood Project, if I'm getting it right, Robbie Samuels Project of No More Bad Zooms, and you mentioned a couple of others.
Gerald Solution Man Heyman. Okay, he's done the LinkedIn groups right. He's doing his Thursday thing. Sharp guy, and I mean there are other projects out there. Nothing we found that will match what we're doing, and that's okay. But they're
nonetheless role models and inspirations. Yeah, I'd love. I'll be reaching out to Robbie, so I'll name drop you, even though we were in the same Zoom together. But I don't know the other two that you just mentioned, and I didn't catch their name. So we'll
Gerald Heyman. He goes by Gerald Solution Man Heyman.
Okay.
And that's the kind of environment where he has speed networking on Zoom is what he calls his sessions. Oh. And that, it's kind of cool. And again, you get ideas. I mean,
exactly. That's why we're doing this, right? I always say sheepishly stealing the ideas, but nonetheless, really, it's a way for me to pay respect to you.
In adult ed, we call it collaboration.
There you go.
In grammar school,
in the world of academia.
We'll go academia. That's it. We collaborate, and it's co-opetition.
Exactly. Well, in one way or another, even beyond the co-opetition aspect, it is purely cooperation. I think all communities are able to, one way or another,
it makes us all stronger.
Mission and collaborate. So yeah, this is fantastic. Any final words? Any final comments that you want to share with viewers and listeners?
Actually, the door is open. I want to thank you for your time and the invite. And
I'm looking forward to seeing the community grow. I'm looking forward to you getting to know Video Socials and see what we can literally collaborate as communities.
I will look forward to that opportunity. And when you get onto influity.net, check the box for yes for joint venturing.
All right, cool. And everybody, that was Dr. Scott Dell, co-founder of influity.net, which is influity.net. And again, this is another episode of People Love Clapping, How Business Groups and Communities Grow. You can catch us every Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern on LinkedIn, on Facebook Live, and then eventually you could look us up on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Stitcher. Great to leave us a review, downloads, and of course, shoot me an email, vic@videosocials.net. Until next time, I'll talk to you soon.